way everyone just kind of playfully ribs him all the time, I just wish that Ahsoka had gotten the same treatment. You know, like the new kid who's overconfident and the superiors are kind of like, sure kid, sure. She should have gotten that treatment, but nope. She is perfect and everyone loves her and fawns over her and gives her everything she wants and she's always right and blah 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 blah. Mary Sue.
Where is that translator?
Coming, Minister.
Bring in the cameos.
Sentients, please prepare for takeoff.
Non-sentients, you can do whatever the heck you want.
Stop crowding me. Kid, how about you get that rust bucket under control? Isn't there some rule against droids in the passenger area?
Oh, I remember this one. I liked this one.
Your astromech must proceed to the back of the craft.
Hey, if my astromech's banished, then those two astromechs are banished too.
Astromech? I am a protocol droid, fluent in over 6 million
Pilot, these two droids are with me.
Has C-3PO ever been able to finish that sentence? I think once in like A New Hope, he finished his whole spiel about what he was and what he could do, and no one has ever let him finish since.
I am on Imperial business.
Sorry, ma'am, but these are Imperial regulations.
Sass!
Sassy droids is like one of the few things that TCW did well, and I am pleased to see that we have some sassy droids in Rebels too.
I do like this plan though. It's clever.
Secret mission? What secret mission?
Was R2 in on it or something?
I wonder is this supposed to be like referencing A New Hope? Does he already have the transmission from Leia? Like, what? What is, like, that's just such an obvious, like, key jangle moment that makes zero sense in the actual moment. And so it's just kind of like, why are we doing this? Because, like, if you recall our video on the Dragon Prince, which is ages ago by the time this is uploaded, we talked about the boomerang moment when Callum is just like, what is this thing? Boomerang? Right? Like, he's very, very clearly referencing his voice actor's past life as Sokka. And we found personally in that moment that, like, it just kind of broke the character themselves. Like, it was too much of a fourth wall break that in and of itself, in its own context, did not make sense. And so, like, I feel like this is kind of similar. It's very clearly a reference to that thing, and if you hadn't seen that thing, then I guess you just kind of like, okay, I'm confused for a moment, and then I move on with my life. But, like, when you know what it is, and you see just how clunky it is, and how, like, moment breaking it is, it's kind of like, what is this? Like, why?
Don't you shush me. Well, thank you. There, you see, R2? Here is an astromech who understands etiquette.
Chopper and etiquette do not belong in the same sentence.
If it's of any help, my ward here is quite fluent.
Oh, I would never presume. Though, it would be good practice for my level 5 exams at the Imperial Academy. No, but I couldn't.
You're a level 5 academy student?
How recognizable is Mandalorian armor that she's very clearly wearing as opposed to some sort of, I mean, like, you can get away with the fact that she's not wearing, like, an Imperial student's outfit because obviously she's just doing something with her guardian that day. But the fact that she's wearing the Mandalorian stuff very clearly, it's kind of like she's not just a nobody, she's very, like, would a Mandalorian be, like, an Imperial level 5? Or, like, I don't know what the relationship is between the Mandalorians and the Empire right now. That's just me personally. So I'm just asking a question.
Well, I think Mandalore was taken over by the Empire. I think Bo-Katan tried to resist, but she was ousted. But, to be fair, no other Mandalorian walks around with that paint job. So
there you go. Maybe she thinks that she just picked it up somewhere and painted it and wears it because she thinks it's cool.
Please ask Mr. Warbo where the shipment is being held.
He said Bay 17, Bay 7.
that's also smart, because if they get caught, then Base 17 is close enough to Base 7 that they could argue that it was an honest mistake. I love their plans. They're actually smart, unlike in TCW where all their plans are dumb, but you're clearly supposed to believe that it's the most genius thing ever.
I like heist movies. And so I think that's part of what this series so far has going for it, is that you basically kind of have Firefly. And so then you've got all these heist movie situations. And yeah, as long as they seem clever enough, you've got some good content. The only thing, because I'm thinking about it, I'm like, things have gone smoothly, but the reality is, the woman did not need to know the answer to which bay it was until they got there, when she could get her protocol droid back to ask the question. Why would she trust some randos to get her the answer right then and there? So in that sense, it only worked because she was stupid.
That was kind of close.
See, those moments aren't too bad, right? Like, it heightens, the tension, the feeling of danger for a brief moment. But he wasn't being, entirely stupid. He was getting a little close, but he made it, right?
Well, kid, you pulled it off.
Was there ever any doubt?
Yes.
It's just the way everyone just kind of playfully ribs him all the time. I just wish that Ahsoka had gotten the same treatment. Like the new kid on the block who's overconfident and the superiors are kind of like, sure kid, sure. She should have gotten that treatment. She should have gotten the same treatment that Ezra gets here. But nope, she is perfect and everyone loves her and fawns over her and gives her everything she wants and she's always right and blah 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 blah. Mary Sue.
I feel like it may, I haven't seen the movie, but that's where, Anakin starts with the whole snips thing. And then, at least in the first, because they're in that moment where she's like, oh, it was my idea to change the plan. Then they're just like, yeah, kid, from a certain point of view. So, there are some of those moments in the first, season or two. But I feel like the thing is, I don't know. It's like Ezra's kind of earned this moment, right? And then they're just like, yeah, kid. But Ahsoka didn't earn that moment. And then she was like, oh, but me. And they're just like, yeah, kid. And it didn't feel like, it feels like they should be like, what? No, you didn't. Right? But they don't call her out on that. And then, but you're also dealing with characters who are much they're in the Jedi headspace. Kanan is not, because of his background, because of what he's had to do, because there's no Jedi Order right now, right? But she was standing beside Plo Koon, who's a seasoned Jedi Master, part of the, established Jedi Order. And she's just, spouting off self-absorbed stuff, and he doesn't call her out on it, right? So again, it's these different contexts, and it does not work with Ahsoka because it's not set up properly. Whereas, yeah, here in this moment, you have the correct context. You have the right characters, you have the right, establishment and everything like that, and so it works.
It kind of goes to show, because this story is what Filoni had planned from the beginning. So it kind of shows that he wanted the same thing in the Clone Wars, but it just didn't work because, again, different contexts. So yeah, it's kind of interesting when you think about that.
See, that to me says that Filoni never really let go of it. He's like, I want to do this. And George was like, no, we're going to do this. And so then he was just trying to shove what he wanted to do into what George wanted to do until George relinquished more and more and more control, and Filoni took more and more and more control. And by that time, it was just a colossal mess of Filoni's doing, because he couldn't set aside his own personal, this is mine, this is mine. But here, from the get-go, he was told, okay, you're in charge. And so then he had more of the, like, let's see what we can do.
It also might have benefited from the fact that he had more time to think on it, like on the story overall. Because I feel like out of all Filoni's works, Rebels is the best. Like, very low bar, but it's the only one that I can actually enjoy. So, yeah, I don't know.
He had the experience by this point, right? If he had been able to do this one first instead of TCW, I feel like this would be the bigger garbage fire. But since he's had experience by this point, he knows a little bit more about what he's doing. He's had more time to think about these things. And I think there's also that aspect of he's kind of got the Mary Sue out of his system a little bit, right? Because, like, your first work, you'll get attached to your favorite characters, and you'll mess up because of those favoritisms and things like that, and just wanting things to be cool and like, oh yeah, this is how we make it cool, right? Like, but once you kind of like, they say the best way to improve at writing is to write more, so you kind of get those mistakes out of your system, because you're gonna make mistakes when writing. I make mistakes, you make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes, but you have to be willing to take critique and learn from that critique. And I feel like Filoni has never really acknowledged critique. He has improved because you just naturally improve. But he has never taken critique, which is why the Ahsoka show is still absolute garbage. Is because he hasn't been improving like this, he's been improving like this. And he still has that attachment to his Mary Sue, his first.
Well, if anything, I'd say he pretty grossly regressed after Rebels, because like all his shows, yeah, I think it went to his head, like all the like the spike in the praise for TCW because the sequels came out, so literally anything and everything was better than that. So yeah, you had the TCW fans becoming more vocal, and yeah, I think it went to his head. So he just completely regressed. Like the Bad Batch, he's got a whole other Mary Sue in Omega. And yeah, of course, the Ahsoka show, total disaster because he has his main Mary Sue front and center, and he apparently stopped caring about what he established in Rebels, so he overwrote the characters. And yeah, just complete, like, it's terrible.
Because everyone called TCW Filoni's thing. But if you call it that while you're criticizing it, then it's George Lucas's thing. You can only call it Filoni's if you're praising it. If you're criticizing it, then it's all Lucas's. I find that really interesting. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, when the spike of appreciation for TCW went up, it wasn't Lucas that they were praising, it was Filoni. And it went to his head.
Duel of the Droids, anyone?
This is the C1 droid that caused our translator to...
I will say I do like that she recognized Chopper. So they made her dumb, but then they made her smart.
It all balances out.
Sector 4, time to go!
Right. Inspector 1 to Ghost. We're good to go.
Wow, it's a good thing the troopers can't aim.
Or at least the rebels magically aren't being hit. Like, when Zeb and Kanan were retreating there, they had absolutely no cover. Their backs were to the stormtroopers. They should have been shot like 10 times over. I really hate this.
Imperial droids. Inspector 5, let's get a couple restraining bolts on these two.
At least they were smart enough to, like, oh, we don't know these droids, put restraining bolts on them just in case. Like, little things like that sometimes. They just add that little bit. They just add that little bit.
Hera, Zeb's booted me from my own...
No, but maybe you could cut Zeb a little slack today?
Oh, the way he cuts me slack?
Do you know what a T7 disruptor is? What it does to an organic being? Well, Zeb knows. Because it's what the Imperials used on his people when they cleared his homeworld.
I guess I could cut him a little slack.
Do you see the difference between that and I'll keep an eye on him?
As a child, Anakin and his mother were sold into slavery by the Hutt clans.
Oh. And these Zygerians, they're slavers. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on him.
Do you see the difference there? Because I see the difference there.
We don't even know who Vizago Spire is.
We know it's not the Empire, and I already made a deal with Vizago.
I know they said in, like, the first episode, when it was 2 episodes, but it was 1 episode, basically, that, oh, well, Vizago couldn't have known.
The whole thing was a setup.
You think Vizago was in on it?
He'd sell his mother to Jawas for a couple credits, but we're a source of income for him. Even odds, he didn't know.
But still, why would they trust this guy now? Just in case he did know. They just assume he didn't know, and life goes on as normal. And I feel like it's be such an easy fix. Have the contact you first introduced them to be someone that you then don't use anymore, and now you have this character instead. So simple.
This is C-3PO. My counterpart and I were abducted from the spaceport on Garel.
So they put a restraining bolt on him, but then they just let him meander about their ship unsupervised?
I was just about to ask, is this planned or something? Because like they're really that stupid?
Apparently they are now.
You haven't paid us.
The Capital Vizago doesn't pay for half a shipment, and they doesn't pay for trouble with Imperials.
Wait, so they were already loading his ship up before they even discussed payment?
Also, this is the second time Imperials have showed up when they've dealt with him, so they should be flying huge red flags.
What are you doing? Joining the crew?
So C-3PO and R2-D2 walk out there and suddenly everyone's just chill with it. Yeah, they're really that stupid then. Okay, great. Good to know. And what exactly happened to their restraining bolts? Because I don't see any restraining bolt on C-3PO. So, what the heck? Okay, dude, you'd be dead.
Did she really just fire at that thing with like a dinky pistol and expect it to do anything?
Also, she should be dead. The way she was like springing around like that, well, the explosions were just barely missing her. Like, what? No! You'd be thrown like 10 feet at least and probably would lose your legs in the process.
Getting the impression that the plot armor is very thick in this show.
Wait, don't shoot, don't shoot!
Again, how did they miss? That was quite dramatic.
I know why you fear those disruptors. I gave the order to use them.
Empire bad, by the way. Hush! Why is C-3PO suddenly helping?
I love how the stormtroopers just stand there when these weapons are like beeping like crazy, almost like a explosive device. Why is he looking at his hands like, what have I done? You just saved someone's life? That's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Move! All of you, now!
Why are they taking C-3PO with them? Roll credits.
Also, that pose was a very obvious callback to A New Hope.
Very, very obvious, yeah.
Okay, folks, you know the drill. Comment below. Give the video a like. Hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. Share this around with your friends. And consider joining our Patreon. It would be very appreciated. Thank you.
Before you stop it, I'm just kind of like thinking over the episode as a whole. Again, I think I already said this in like the first episode. Their setups are a lot better, but I don't feel like it maintains that. So yeah, it's like so far I'd say it's still a step above TCW, but since TCW is like underground, you know, like it's not a high bar to surpass. So it's not like Rebels is the best thing since sliced bread, but it's better so far than TCW. And we've heard mixed reviews. Some say the first season is the best, some say the first season is the weakest. So who knows? It'll either go up from here or it'll go down from here, which, you know, isn't saying very much. But I think overall the episode was kind of decent, a little convenient. And I'm really wondering what they're gonna do moving forward with this Vizago guy, because I feel like they're just gonna keep brushing this kind of stuff under the rug, and I'm just gonna be like, okay, this is stupid. So that's part of the thing, right? Like, problems build. Great stuff, but everything builds. So if you have good, and you keep building good, it's gonna be great. If you have meh, and you keep building meh, your tower's gonna start falling. And I think really that's kind of like why overall we consider TCW so bad, is because it was just on top of bad, on top of okay, on top of but it's just more and more and more and more and more garbage. But this, yeah, it's not bad.
I feel like overall this episode wasn't as strong as the previous two, maybe.
I wonder if kind of having those cameo characters in there kind of is what kind of hurt it the most, maybe?
Yes, season 1 is the worst for cameos, so... Which is why I think a lot of people say season 1 is the worst, because it relies too much on that sort of thing. So it was kind of afraid to stand on its own feet, as it were.
Oh, that's Filoni. He shoves cameos into, you know, like whatever's gonna get people to go, oh, them! Then he's just like, shove it in there.